I want to welcome everybody out here, and what a fantastic showing of people here. This is really, I am so happy on behalf of the New York State Stock Car Association to see you all out here. A great group coming together here this afternoon as we're going to honor 6 very special people to our sport. I know a lot of you folks in this room right now have probably not been here for one of the NYSSCA Hall of Fame inductions. The NYSSCA Hall of Fame is something that is a little bit different than other Hall of Fames. A lot of Hall of Fames go on statistical efforts. They go on a racing resume. We have a group of Hall of Fame committee members that get together each year, and there's nominations, and then we come to a voting, and trust me, it's tough. There are a lot of people that have been on the list for a lot of years. We had a catch-up year last year, just trying to get some of the folks their proper due. But today, a very special group. As I said, it's not just a statistical thing. It's not how many championships or how many wins. Of course, that does play into part of how we nominate drivers. But we also have crew members. We have mechanics, we have crew chiefs, we have a category that we consider at-large. The at-large category is somebody who has impacted our sport in some way, shape, or fashion. That could be a press member, that could be a race official, it's been race promoters, the list goes on. And to have your name on that list is certainly an honor. The ultimate honor is what 6 people will be enshrined here today into the New York State Stock Car Association. So as I said, welcome everybody here for this year's inductions. I'd like to bring Rick Hodge up here, our president of the New York State Stock Car Association. Rick is going to give you a few words about NYSSCA.
Take your time, sir. Thanks, Dan. Welcome, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank Winner's Circle for allowing us to be here today. As you all know, we had a little unforeseen circumstance happen down at the Hall of Fame Museum at the Speedway. But again, I'd also like to thank my members, Kim, my secretary, Jan, where's Jan? Jan, my vice president, Cheryl, my treasurer, and of course, the most famous one of all is Jay Johnson, our Sergeant at Arms. Also, I would like to thank the board members. Dan Martin, I'd like to thank you for being our MC as usual. You keep us all rolling throughout the program. And also, lastly, Ron Zerba, thank you for all your hard work that you put into all the paperwork and articles that you did for us. Thank you very much. Again, congratulations, inductees. Hope you enjoy your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. And as Rick just said, there are some people that we need to thank for having us being able to do this today. We've got some sponsors for the Hall of Fame this year and folks that have contributed as well. We'd like to thank Mel's Lumber and Ghent Wood Products as the sponsor of the Hall of Fame inductions here today. Also, Driven Design and Embroidery, Race Printing and Package Center, Heiko Fabrications, and as Rick said, the Winner's Circle, who has allowed us to be here today. Also want to say a big thank you, as Rick said, Ron Zerba, the handout that you were just handed out that was printed by Race Printing. Ron Zerba did the press release and all the information, the research that is involved on there. Thank you, Ron, for all the efforts. You do a great job at everything you do for the association, and I don't want you to think that it's not appreciated, because it is dearly. Also, Mark Brown is here, capturing today's moments, custom keepsakes by the photos. I want to thank Big Jim from Inside Northeast Racing. He's also going to have it available on video. Jim is video in today's program. And last year was the first year he started that, and posted a lot of it on Facebook. So you can keep your eyes on that if you want to relive some of the moments that we have here this afternoon. But thank you all for your support. As I said, we've got 6 very special people today that are going to be put into the Hall of Fame. We've got 3 different drivers. We've got 3 other people that fall kind of in the at-large. We've got 2 at-large. We've got one that was a race mechanic, a crew chief, and a promoter. So I'm not sure, Jay, how to categorize you, but you've left your mark.
Tommy and Andrew will do a good job, trust me.
You paid your dues before. You paved your way, and I know you think the world of these guys as much as these guys think of you. But as far as the hats that you've worn in the past, including right around the corner, a former promoter, and of course, when you do look at the racing resume and the stat sheet, Jay Castimore could fit under a couple of different categories. We're going to start off with a driver. He's not in attendance here today, but going to bring Rick Hodge back up here to the podium as we will honor our first Hall of Fame inductee, Steve Paine.
Thanks again, Dan. Steve Paine, the Hurricane, is an American dirt modified racing driver who has earned over 330 feature events at 26 tracks. He captured 32 track championships, including 9 straight at Canandaigua Speedway from 2000 to 2008. Paine comes from a racing family. As he was growing up, his parents, Don and Nancy, owned a race car, and through the 1980s, brother Bobby also drove. In 2018, Steve's son Billy began the 3rd generation in racing, and 2 years later, son Tommy got into the driver's seat. Steve Paine began his racing career in 1979 in a street stock class with 13 wins at the Canandaigua Speedway. He has competed and been victorious the East Coast racetracks from Florida to Canada, including Autodrome Granby, Quebec, Black Rock Speedway, New York, Brockport Speedway, Fonda Speedway, Fulton Speedway, Ransomville Speedway, Weedsport Speedway. Paine was crowned the overall Mr. Dirt champion in 2000, and he is inducted into the Northeast Dirt Modified Hall of Fame in 2017. Our first inductee for the class of 2024, Steve the Hurricane Paine.
Speaking of Hall of Famers, I did leave this out. I put it down at the bottom of my list and failed to honor or acknowledge the Hall of Famers in attendance with us here this afternoon. Like to acknowledge the folks that are here that already are amongst our Hall of Famers. Hertha Beberwick is with us, as Hertha is always one to support the festivities here with the New York State Stock Car Association. Thank you, Hertha, for coming out. Kenny Tremont, of course, a inductee to the Hall of Fame as well. Kenny Tremont Jr. on hand. Dick Hicks, I believe Dick is here. Okay, Dick's not here yet. Dick's coming, they said. And John Keegan. John Keegan, a former president here in the New York State Stock Car Association, and still very, very active with NYSSCA. So I apologize. I was remiss in not passing them along with our sponsors. So we've got our first Hall of Famer already inducted here this afternoon. I'm going to call up our next inductor as we will go to our next inductee will be Margaret Bedell, and I would like to introduce Rick Harding to the stage.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Dan, and thanks to NYSSCA, and especially the Bedells for inviting me back. It's been a few years since I've been here. I had the pleasure of inducting 3 other members into the Hall of Fame, George Marcus, Butch Jelly, and Jimmy Langenbach. And each time I got in a little trouble because I told a joke. Hard to believe, but it's true. So I decided today to start by telling it again. John Keegan reminded me he appreciates this joke, so. It seems there were 5 surgeons discussing who makes the best patients to operate on. The first surgeon says, I like to operate on accountants because when you open them up, everything is numbered and in order. Second surgeon responds, yeah, but you should try electricians. Everything inside them is color-coded. The third surgeon says, no, I think librarians are the best because everything is in alphabetic order. The fourth surgeon chimes in, you know, I like construction workers. These guys always understand when you have a few parts left over and the job takes longer than you said. But the fifth surgeon, little older guy sitting in the corner, says, he shut them all up when he said, you're all wrong. Speedway promoters are the best and easiest to operate on. No heart, no spine, no guts, and the head and the butt are interchangeable. As I said, I've told that joke before, and it was fine until one promoter took me aside and pointed out how he didn't like that joke. Needless to say, I repeated it for his benefit. He's not here, but that's okay. Okay, on to the business of why I'm really here. Inducting a most deserving person, Margaret Bedell, into the New York State Stock Car Hall of Fame. Just a couple of things about Margaret. She was born on March 6, well, never mind, we won't get into that. But it's been a few years. Margaret was introduced to racing by her parents, Walt and Peg Bedell, in 1957 at Lebanon Valley Speedway. She went with her parents up and down the East Coast, hitting all the speedways, Orange County, Fonda, Langhorne, Flemington, Trenton, Devil's Bowl, Fairgrounds, just to name a few. If there was a speedway, Margaret's been there. Like most of us, she started as a fan, but racing became much more to her. Margaret has been president of fan clubs, been a scorer as needed, wrote a weekly article for Dirt Trackin' magazine, helped out with her brother's racing team, Boomer. Margaret did a radio program on Sunday nights for 7 years with Kim Hart Racing Show, with all kinds of results. Before the internet, I might add, which is a lot of work. Been there. And still had time to be the owner of a successful business, Boomer's Performance, for 37 years. Margaret has been a NYSSCA track rep at Lebanon Valley for 25 years. She sponsored the NYSSCA Hall of Fame for 30 years, 1994 to 2023. Margaret was at the NYSSCA Car Show for 13 years for her business, Boomer's Performance. It's been an 8-decade love affair with the sport of auto racing. Margaret has been a huge part of NYSSCA for 40 years as a member, writer for the yearbook, sponsor for the Hall of Fame and golf tournament, and again, a track rep at Lebanon Valley Speedway. Truly a lifetime of achievements for her, all of which she has accomplished quietly and with great respect. Speaking personally, I've known Margaret and the entire Bedell family a long time, and I'm certainly glad our paths crossed. And so I want to congratulate and present one of the newest members of the NYSSCA Hall of Fame, Margaret Bedell.
No, it's below. You're out of order. Oh, grab it.
The promoter who didn't write the joke. I figured that. What do you want to? She's good right there. Get up.
Well, Margaret, first of all, I want to congratulate you on being one of our latest class here as an inductor, as a member of the New York State Stock Car Association. Rick just pretty much, he put it in words how much you've meant to not only racing in our area, but to the New York State Stock Car Association. You and your family and all the members around you that have been so important here to NYSSCA in the past, everything that you've done on different levels. We want to say thank you and honor you and congratulations on being the latest member of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I would like to thank NYSSCA for this prestigious award. I grew up in the sport for racing for many years of my life, thanks to my parents, Walt and Peg Bedell. My involvement was for many times an honor to my proud the NYSSCA Hall of Fame through my family's involvement with NYSSCA. Congratulations to the rest of the Hall of Fame inductees, and this award means a lot to me. Thank you all again.
Ladies and gentlemen, our latest inductee to the NYSSCA Hall of Fame, Margaret Bedell. So we get the photographs taken to here, the Hall of Fame jacket, Hall of Fame hat, and our next inductee, there will be a common denominator in our next inductee, another one that will go in at the as the at-large category, someone who has given a lot to the sport of auto racing here in the eastern region of New York, someone who is dedicated very much to racing itself, and even more important, this dedication to the New York State Stock Car Association. He's a former president here at NYSSCA and very big in the racing world. And for our next inductee, I'll call John Stanley over here to the podium, as our next inductee will be Brian Bedell.
Thanks, Dan. Good morning, everybody. Well, we just had the pleasure and distinct honor of meeting one of the members of the Bedell family, Margaret. Congratulations, Margaret, on your induction. And the Bedell family tree at Lebanon Valley Speedway is huge, right? The Bedell family is big. It all started back in the 40s when their Uncle Jim started racing. But we're here to now honor one of those major branches of the Bedell family tree, Brian Bedell. We all know Brian from Lebanon Valley, and for good reason. Brian certainly has that long history, as well as all the other members of the Bedell family do. His folks, Peg and Walt, took him to the track when he was just a week old, and he never missed a race from those early childhood years all the way through last year. As he was growing up, he watched his favorite race car driver idols, Butch Jelly, Mert Hulbert, Chuck Healy, and then went on to start writing down statistics. He started helping his brother, Boomer, in the business, and that even extended to helping Kenny Tremont's race team. For 59 years, Brian has been at the Speedway there in West Lebanon. Did not miss a single event until this year. And again, his involvement, when he was first born in the 60s, continued all the way through. That's 7 decades of perfect attendance that Brian had at Lebanon Valley. When he was young, he started writing down the finishes at the Speedway. He would sit on the steps of the announcer's tower after the races were over. Uncle Art Stewart's was the announcer back then, and Art always ran down the official finishes for each event, each week. And Brian sat there with his notebook and would chart down all those finishes. And that's how he got into the record-keeping part of the business, if you will. And there are many that rely on Brian's record-keeping to this day. Dan and I, right? We certainly rely on Brian. We go to Brian and we say, we got a special event coming up. We're going to be honoring Stanley Wetmore next week. You know, can you help us out with the data and the stats and that? And he's always been there. And the thing about Brian, he's meticulous in terms of being accurate, wanting to get it 100% correct. You can trust him, you can take it to the bank, he's going to get it right. And for that reason, he's become Lebanon Valley's leading statistician and track historian. And again, people rely on him, right? He's written speeches for himself and for others when we've had memorial events honoring those who have passed. He's been there to be a part of that. He's provided input as a data consultant, if you will, to certain entities like the Auto Racing Research Associates, and writers like Lou Boyd. He wrote the book on Lebanon Valley, Modifieds of the Valley, right? Brian was a key consultant for Lou in that. And he's helped many other racing industry people throughout the Northeast. But Brian's involvement has not been limited to books and records. Along with his sister, Margaret, Brian's been involved in operating Boomer's Performance, the parts business, for 37 years. And over those years, many racers have been helped with sponsorship from Boomer's Performance. There have been many races in the pure stock, street stock division that Boomer's Performance has sponsored at Lebanon Valley. And talk about sponsoring race cars. They've sponsored over 200 race cars in all divisions at the Valley. Look at the stats related to that. 18 different drivers in 5 different classes have driven the 42 track titles carrying sponsorship from Boomer's Performance. Dan mentioned Brian's involvement with NYSSCA. His love and support for auto racing certainly extends well beyond Lebanon Valley and right to the New York State Stock Car Association. He got involved helping NYSSCA many years ago as a track rep, representing NYSSCA at Albany, Saratoga, Devil's Bowl, Lebanon Valley. But really, he helped out any way he could. If NYSSCA needed help, Brian was there to provide that help. For over 30 years, he was a part of the NYSSCA Hall of Fame Committee and the Hall of Fame selection process. He participated on the NYSSCA Yearbook Committee. At banquet time, for over 30 years, Brian, again, helped in any way that he could. He provided stats, information for us to use. He supported the NYSSCA Golf Tournament for 14 years. Boomer's Performance also supported NYSSCA through its sponsorship of the Hall of Fame for 30 straight years, also a vendor at the NYSSCA car shows. And Brian's involvement and support for NYSSCA didn't stop there. Dan mentioned how he became president of the organization. Brian took on increasing levels of responsibility. First became a board member, served on the board for 3 years, and he stepped up, became vice president for a couple of years, then became president for 3 years, and wound up again as vice president. So for 10 straight years, Brian helped lead and guide this organization. So in summary, Brian's love for racing took root when he was very young, watching his childhood idols race at Lebanon Valley. It grew to documenting the race results and the history of racing. It continued with the family business, Boomer's Performance, and expanded further through his involvement here with NYSSCA. Brian has clearly done much for the sport, no question about it. But it was helping out his longtime friend Kenny Tremont Jr. on his racing team, traveling up and down the East Coast to races from Canada to Florida, that stands out the most. Brian has said that out of everything he's done, he's most proud of being part of Team Tremont, including their biggest win at Super Dirt Week when Kenny captured the Eckerd 300 in 1999. Brian kept the laps, fuel mileage, and strategy for the team that day. So for all of his accomplishments, doing so much for the sport to really impact the sport, at this time, the New York State Stock Car Association is very pleased and honored to induct Brian Bedell into the NYSSCA Hall of Fame. Brian?
Stick around for this?
Yeah.
Thank you. The New York State Stock Car Association has been a part of my life for about 40 years. And to be elected in this Hall of Fame is absolutely incredible. 246 people are in the hall, and to be in with such an elite class, plus all of my racing idols, feels amazing. I want to acknowledge all the inductees. First, my sister, Margaret Ann. It's an unbelievable feeling to be going in with you. You did it quietly and with great respect. Well deserved, Margaret. Billy Decker, I saw your career right from the beginning, and you turned into one of the best. Steve Paine, I had the utmost respect for you. You did it all in racing, and I was glad to know you over the years. Jay Castimore, I always respected you. You're a class act all the way. Great battles for 35 plus years with Brett and Kenny. What I remember most is if Kenny won, you'd be the first one to shake my hand. And when Brett won, I did the same. Finally, Rocky Rothwell. Even though we never met, I saw your talents at the Speedway, winning races and championships. I'm so proud to be going in with you all. Like I said, at the NYSSCA has been a huge part of my life. Between the car shows, banquets, helping track reps with statistical info for the awards given out each year. Then for the past 30 years being on the Hall of Fame committee, as well as being a board member. Vice president, then getting to lead this organization for 3 years as the president. It was an absolute honor to do so. My goal was always simple with this organization. You work hard to keep the benefit alive and well, and we have achieved that, so I'm happy. I have so many to thank in this organization, which I consider all family. People like Claude and Gail Riley, Joanne Flanagan, Artie McCarty, Nick Ronca, John Keegan, Dan Martin, and Bonnie Mortensen. Quick story about this organization many of you probably don't know, but I feel I wouldn't be standing here today without the advice from one person. I tried to run for a board seat in 1999, and I lost by 1 vote. When fellow board member Claude Riley told me to hang in there, he said, "They just don't know you yet." He saw I was down and he believed in me. Right before I got in my car to go home that night, he said, "Someday you'll be the president of this organization." So I came back the next year, went to all the meetings, won a board seat, and the rest is history. If it wasn't for Claude and his pep talk, who knows what would have happened. Thanks, Claude. You're definitely in my heart today. I wish you were here. It was an absolute honor being involved with such great people. Not only did they love the organization, but the love for the sport of auto racing. I always felt whether it was racing for Kenny Tremont and his team or being part of NYSSCA, team is the most important part of being a success. I have been blessed being around so many hardworking people, and it made our end goal easier. Last but not least, my family, the Bedell family. Since 1948, my family's been involved in the sport. 2025 will mark the 78th consecutive year my family's been racing. My uncle Jim Bedell started it all racing at Burden Lake Speedway, where he became a 5-time track champion, including him and his 6 brothers. All were in the stock cars. My dad, Walt, my uncles Willis, Richard, Bobby, and Perry. It was only a matter of time, and we were all involved. My mom and dad, for 60 seasons, traveled all over with us. If it was a racetrack, good bet we were there, and I can't thank them enough. If it wasn't for them, none of this is possible. My brother Walter built all those winning engines for Tommy Corellis, Jack Johnson, and Kenny Shoemaker. My brother Boomer owned race cars for 20 years, as well as operated and owned a successful high-performance speed shop, Boomer's Performance. My sister Margaret Ann was not only a fan, but a scorer, president of different racing fan clubs, and a writer for Dirt Track and magazines. Besides owning our parts business alongside my brother Boomer, my nephew Dan Bedell is continuing the tradition today, building successful winning championships and engines for over 35 years. Family is what I'm most proud of. Proud to be a Bedell. And if my math is correct, the Bedell family has been racing for a part of 9 decades, 1940s to the 20s. I definitely want to thank my entire Bedell family. Each and every one of them played a role in my success. In closing, this Hall of Fame has always been dear to my heart. Since 1984, when the first 3 Hall of Fame members were elected, which were Steve Danish, Jeep Herbert, and Kenny Shoemaker. Each year we elect a new class of racing greats, which I always consider the state's highest honor for what we do. To be part in this hall with such stars like Pete Corey, Bill Wemble, Frankie Schneider, Will Cagle, Jack Johnson, Lou Lazzaro, Dave Lape, and Merv Treitler. It's just kind of mind-blowing to me. Add to that my childhood idols, Chuck Ely, Butch Jelly, and Mert Hobart. It's simply incredible. Also having my name right here alongside my best friend, Kenny Tremont, and his dad, Ken Tremont Sr., who I traveled all over the countryside racing with. I consider Ken one of the best ever to be behind the wheel of a race car, and one of the top owners of all time is absolutely the greatest feeling. So to have my name forever linked with all those greats and individuals who've made a huge impact on our great sport is humbling for sure. I've never considered myself on this level, but I am grateful and honored that the Hall of Fame committee chose me to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. So thank you, NYSSCA, from the bottom of my heart. I'll cherish this moment for the rest of my life.
Taking your stuff. Well, Brian, just want to get a word or two with you here. First of all, congratulations. I know it means a lot to you. It means a lot to us here at the New York State Stock Car Association, as John eloquently put it, and if you just have acknowledged your support and all the stuff that you brought to the NYSSCA, the New York State Stock Car Association, in many different ways. As a representative, a track member, or track, one of our, well, you were doing 3 tracks at the same time, a track rep, right up to the presidency, and all the sponsorship that you did with the Bedell family, the help of your sister, of course, in Boomer's name. Before that, Boomer was involved in supporting the association as well. But again, we want to thank you, and I know it's a big honor to you. It's a big honor to us to have you in the Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you, Dan, and I'm honored to go in with all the other inductees, and I know they feel that as well, but I just don't know what to say. It's just overwhelming, you know. I look and I do all that, and in the history of New York State, there's only 246 of us in there out of probably tens of thousands of people, and you're in a small group, and there's so many other people that are deserving, and someday they'll all get their day.
Well, again, we want to congratulate you and welcome you to the NYSSCA Hall of Fame.
Thanks again, Dan.
So Brian will get his photographs taken here with the NYSSCA Hall of Fame jacket, the hat, and the plaque. Our NYSSCA president, Rick. Next, I don't need to call someone up to induct our next inductee to the Hall of Fame. Reason being, I was honored by being asked to induct this next inductee to the Hall of Fame. Reason being for that, 1989, I left Albany-Saratoga Speedway as a racer after winning a championship in a full-fendered car. Thought I was going to go open wheel racing. Decided to come to Fonda Speedway because Albany-Saratoga didn't have a sportsman division. So I got to go to foreign territory, learn a new car, a new track, and a whole bunch of new racers that I've never raced before. One of my best things I did when I pulled into Fonda Speedway for the first event that year, parked next to a guy with a number 4 out of South Plymouth, Rocky Rothwell. I was a kid that was I didn't have much going for me as far as the talent or the equipment or the help, but I made friends with one of the best racers that has ever run in that sportsman division. And I made a great friend at the same time. Always gave me words of optimism. I more than once used the words, I didn't race Jim Rothwell, I chased Jim Rothwell. All I can say is when we let him know that he was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, Rocky asked if I would induct him. The honor is as much mine to induct you today as it will be yours to go into the Hall of Fame. Back in 1979, Rocky Rothwell was working for Skip Seymour at Skip's Used Cars when Seymour purchased the Chevy Camaro from Randy Kosacki and Charlie Castle. That's when Rothwell started his racing career in the late model division at many tracks, including 5 Mile Point, Fulton, Brookfield, Utica Rome, Rolling Wheels, and Weedsport for special events. His first career win came at the Point in his first year of racing, of not being taken out by a lap car in the final lap. In a feature at Brookfield, he would have had 2 wins in his first year. In his second year of competition, Rothwell won 5 features at Brookfield, along with the track championship. He also had wins at Utica Rome that year and ran a few races at Fonda. Rocky had many wins in the late model division until dirt did away with them, and then he made the switch to the open wheel cars, going to the 320 modifieds, with 2 wins coming at the Track of Champions right here at Fonda. Once the 320 class was done with at many tracks, Rothwell focus turned to the open sportsman division, where he had many wins and championships at Skyline, Fulton, Utica Rome, and Fonda, to name a few. According to the Auto Racing Research Associates website, Rothwell has 1 modified win at Fulton back in 1984 with 12 sportsman victories, the first one coming in 93 and the final in 97 to go along with that, and the championship in 95. At Utica Rome, thanks to information provided by the Utica Rome book, The Home of Heroes, Rothwell has 2 modified victories, 98 and 2003, 23 sportsman wins, and 2 late model wins, his last coming in 1982. His 23 career wins in the sportsman division at Utica Rome placed him second on the all-time win list in that division. Rothwell was crowned 1982 late model track champion at Utica Rome after a single win season, along with 7 second-place finishes and the Sportsman Track Championship in 1994 when he had a total of 6 wins. A quote in the Utica Rome Home of Heroes book by Bones Borsier states that Rothwell was as reliable in the summer as snow in the winter. And I'm here to tell you that I raced against him in August, or chased him in August. Rothwell has a total of wins in the open sportsman division, along with 2 320 modified wins that I previously mentioned. Rocky says one of his favorite wins was a 50-lap, $1,000 to win race at Fonda in 1989. I was there. While his second favorite was the Super Nationals win at Afton, the working man's race in 2021. Rothwell said recently, "I have no idea how many wins I have, but I do have 6 or 7 championships." His favorite championship of all, 46 years of racing and counting. Very proud of his grandson now racing in the limited sportsman division. His grandson Carson, who has turned a lot of heads, and certainly by virtue of being able to watch him on Flow, I can see that he has inherited some of Grandpa's genes. Ladies and gentlemen, our newest inductee to the NYSSCA Hall of Fame, Jim Rocky Rothwell. Thank you, Jan. Come on over here, young fella. Now, Rocky and I last night on the telephone were talking, and we were trying to think, come on over here. You got to, Big Jim's putting this on video. Check. Check 1. Switch. Yeah. Check.
Oh, I don't have to talk.
There you go. Thank you, Wayne. We were talking last night, and Rocky and I were trying to think the last time that we actually seen each other. We bumped into each other a couple of times after we went separate ways. Anytime I went out west, if I went to Utica Rome or if I went to Fulton, I always made my way down to the pit area first to get a chance to at least say hi to an old friend. And he has just kept on going and continued on, and right up to recent years has had success out the Skyline. And like I just said about young Carson, that it looks like he's he's inherited some of Grandpa's genes because he has got nothing but a bright future ahead of him. But I look back, and it was only about a quarter mile over our shoulder. I made one of my best friends in racing, and you did a lot of things for me, even though you didn't know you were doing it at the time. You were a great competitor. I know you had some success. You made a lot of friends, but today we put you in a Hall of Fame with a couple of your good friends, Paul Jensen and Mitch Gibbs. It's a pretty big honor.
It sure is. I never expected this, I'll tell you.
Well, you didn't expect it, but again, you said you didn't know how many feature wins you've had. You didn't know how many actual championships you had, but you do know the success that you had. And you raced in that division when that division was a very competitive division, the old open sportsman.
Oh, yeah. You know, you had to be on your game there to even get qualified. So.
And the tracks that you ran, of course, you were running Fulton, Utica, Rome on a regular basis. You ran down here at Fonda for a while, and out and about on the circuit whenever time permitted. But you were doing it on pretty much your own dime, out of your own shop, and doing it with the best of them.
Yep, you got that right. It was my last dime.
But now Carson gets to see just how far Grandpa's dime will go.
Yeah, he sure does. He's using them up.
Well, I know that it's been a long career. And I know that, like I said, the Rothwell name is going to be known in the racing circles for many years to come. And not only in the racing circles, when they look at the Hall of Fame now in the New York State Stock Car Association list, Jim Rocky Rothwell shows as a Hall of Famer. You're going in with 5 other special people to here this year, and we want to congratulate you on that honor.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, our latest inductee to the NYSSCA Hall of Fame, Jim Rocky Rothwell. Before I let you go away, I know I should have asked. I know you've probably got some folks here tonight that you would really like to make mention that have supported you over the years. And I know one you were sitting next to probably without her, and this wasn't going to happen.
Oh, my wife you're talking about, right? Yeah, I got to thank my wife. She put up a lot of crap through the years. And all my crew chief, my Uncle Ed, that he got me going on this one. He used to race at Morris years ago, run late miles, and he got running modifieds. And that somehow it got me hooked on it, and I kept going at it. And my son's here, my Uncle Roy, and my cousin Blaine, and Mark Ashton and Eric Eddy, they all helped me through the years at Fonda and all the other tracks they run. I got to thank them. It wouldn't have been possible without them. And I'm very grateful to be nominated for the NYSSCA Hall of Fame. It's an honor to be recognized. And I want to thank them all and my team. And last of all, or I should have mentioned first, is Skip Seymour and his wife for get me going. If it wasn't for them, I'd never raced.
Well, Skip helped out a lot of people, that's for sure, and a couple of them are in the Hall of Fame now too. So that's congratulations, my friend. And again, a great honor to a great person, a great driver, and I couldn't think of anybody that deserves it more. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rocky Rothwell. Well, next up, as we go to our 5th of the 6 inductees here this afternoon, as I tried to categorize them earlier, pretty rough one to categorize. I don't have the drink now. I'm starting to dry up here. This next inductee to our Hall of Fame has worn many hats in the sport of auto racing. He's been a major factor on some major race teams down in the pits. He's been a track promoter. He's been a supporter of the New York State Stock Car Association. If we go back a number of years, and Jay, I don't know if you could put a year on this, but it's got to be 30 years ago. He did a tire seminar for NYSSCA back when we used to have the meetings at the Ground Round in Clifton Park. Jay graciously tried to help out our members and did a tire seminar. But our next inductee is going to be presented here this afternoon. And that's going to be Jay Castimore. I'll ask Andrew Phillips and Tommy Conroy to make their way up, as we got a pair of inductors that they work alongside this man just about every week now. So here's Andrew and Tommy for our next inductee, Jay Castimore.
Good morning, everyone. As we all see, we're gathered here to introduce Great Jay to the Hall of Fame. We're here to honor some great men and women of the sport. And just so we all know, covered a few things that I already said. Jay's been around this community forever. He's been, phone's a little jammed here. Starting in the 1980s and going into today. If it wasn't to rain out today, he would have been going to Williamsport as soon as this got done. So we all know the dedication he's got involved in it. Jay's worked for great racers through every step in his career, from early ages with Brett Hearn, Mark Kenyon, Martin Roy, transferring with Keith Flack and Stuart Friesen to this day. I'm sure there's many more I've missed, and we'll go from there. Throughout his career, Jay has accomplished over 800 career wins in a record championships, with hundreds of them that I'm actually lucky to be part of. We'll talk about the day I met Jay. I was a nice little 16-year-old kid, going with my uncle and my father to Brett Hearn's race shop. Oh, this should be cool. I'll go see Brett Hearn, might do something neat, maybe put a motor in, vinyl a car, get ready to go. We get there, shop's going around, everybody's doing their thing. Jay comes walking over, says, "Hi, how you doing? Nice to see me." Goes over, talks to my uncle, turns to me and says, "Hey, kid, something you want to do?" I said, "Sure, why not? All right, come with me." And here goes the whole story of how this all went. We go over, sits down a nice wheel next to me. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take all 16 of these beadlock bolts out, stick them over here in a pile. We'll get the beadlock, clean it all up, nice and shiny for you. Put it here in a pile. Go over there, take all the whizzers out, put them in a pile. Now, take the wheel, clean the inside of the wheel, make it nice and shiny. Put it down. I will go and start mounting a tire. When you're done with that, I have 60 more for you to do. Great. So that just shows the dedication that Jay's put into this sport and how much he throws his heart into everything he does. With that being said, as you know, he's done countless tire seminars for Andy's Speed Shop, NYSSCA obviously, Elmo's Speed Supply. He's been around the sport and helped everyone, including the younger generation, that come up and ask him questions. Need a question, concern, tire stagger, compounds, what the track's gonna do, selling used tires if somebody's little misfortune needs a little help with something. Used tires takes off from Stu or from Brett or anybody else. He will work with anybody as long as they show the dedication and the conditions that he needs. With everything that goes on in this sport and all the traveling that Jay has done in his lifetime, from Canada to Florida to out west, dealing with work, driving from work, working all day from 4 o'clock till whatever, driving all the way through the night to the racetrack, coming back and forth to meet us, Tommy and I, at the racetrack, working till 3 in the morning again. And then he just gets in his car and drives all the way home. With the support from his wife and his 37 brothers and sisters-in-laws. And he's still to this day going stronger than ever. I'm gonna actually hand this over to Tommy right now. He can say a few words. And I just want to thank everybody for supporting Jay in his whole career and everything we have going on here.
All right, good morning. I'm not a very good public speaker here. Jay usually takes care of that. So I'll keep this pretty short and sweet. I've known Jay for more than half my lifetime. In that time, we've done a lot together, both on and off the racetrack. It all started when me and Dick Hicks started going to Lebanon Valley to help the Gable #1. And I worked side by side with Jay. He taught me everything he knew about tires. From there, Jay asked Dick and myself if we would go to a Super Dirt Car Series race to work on the Bud 3. So of course, we said yes. After the Bud 3 days, it began into the 4-star days and the Matson 20. After the Matson 20, Jay and I worked on different teams for a short period of time. He's always been there to lend a hand, even as competitors. Eventually I and Jay ended up here at HFR and joined, during our time together at HFR working on the 44 and the 1Z, we have accomplished some big wins, including 3 Fonda 200s and last year's Super Dirt Car Series Big Block race at Oswego. Jay is truly one of a kind, and he gives 1,000% to everything he does, especially tires and his lawn. He's always willing to help any way he can at the shop, whether that be washing the hauler, running an engine back, or taking the beer cans to the distributor. He draws the line at anything mechanical, though, because he's not a mechanic and never has claimed to be. His hard work and determination is unmatched, and I hope we can continue on together for many years to come. Cheers to 812, I think, and counting. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom and Andrew. I've got to say, the first word that comes to mind when I think of this man is the word respect. And the word respect is earned. It's not given. Jay, in all those different facets that both Andrew and Tommy just talked about, and so many more that they could probably have been up here for another half hour if they wanted to get specific.
Some they can't repeat.
Some I'm going to use that as a segue, as a matter of fact. Jay, probably my fondest memory, my fondest Jay Castimore memory is going back to the New York State Fairgrounds. We were standing on a piece of concrete down in front when Brett Hearn came off turn 4 and the entire crew were 2 feet off the ground, and you stood there and said to me, "This is why I do this." And it wasn't about you. It was about your guys, the guys that you were working with, and how much it meant to them. And just that moment, that will live in my memory forever. And I've kept that thought. I remembered that thought. You have been a great friend to the New York State Stock Car Association. As both Tommy and Andrew just said, you'll help anybody out. All they've got to do is ask. You're that kind of guy. And because of that, you're a member of the New York State Stock Car Association Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do remember that day. Winning at Syracuse, there's nothing like it. I didn't get to experience that with Stuart, but I got to experience it this year at Oswego. But that whole time and that whole track situation that went on there, that event, that's something that I'll take to my grave and love every second of it. So.
I know you've got a prepared piece. I'm going to let you get into that. But when we think about the group you're going in with today, Billy Decker's coming up next. You've got that kind of star power to have your name to go in with as part of the group here. It's just I'm kind of lost for words.
Well, I can tell you this much. I didn't race against Jim. Brian and Margaret, you guys are the 2 really cool people. But I can tell you this much. I raced against Billy Decker and Steve Paine. And when it came to doing what I do, doing tire work, I had to get my ass in gear and be that much better, because trying to beat those 2 guys, forget about it. So.
All right. I know you've got a piece here. I will turn it over to you.
I'm going to keep it short. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today. I'm honored to be inducted into the New York State Stock Car Association's Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Billy, Steve, Jim, Margaret, and Brian. I'm in some pretty good company. Special thanks. I promised myself I wouldn't get choked up. Okay, here we go. Special thanks to Tommy and Andrew. Marilyn and I love you both. I've had the privilege to work with some of the best in racing, And I would like to acknowledge those people because they made this possible for me to be standing here today. It's a long list, but I'll keep it short. I'm not going to talk about each one. Ken Stye, Andy Barbieri, Bruce Moeller, Charlie Langenstein, Bobby Hearn, Pete Van Otterstein, Tony File, Bud Olson, Doug Olson, Jim Beachy, Joe Grasso, Jerry Lias, Bobby Summers, Dennis Sherman, Steve Dale, Keith Menka, Bob Hummer, Pete Chesson, John Belsfield, Ray Bramall, Charlie DeAngelis, Pat McNeil, Billy Thorpe, Jack Drobot, Dave DePrado, Skip Twilliger, Gordon Hearn, Whitey Memelar, Kevin Cross, Eric Ehrman, Scott LePage, Dave Kwasniak, Martin Roy Jr., Mario Quignon, Mike Brezzolera, Guy Matson, Brian Matson, John Apples, Albanese, yay, Lebanon Valley, Kevin Enders, Vinnie Salerno, Charlie Barnes, Don Ducky Phillips, Michael Storms, Ryan Van Orden, Matt Hearn, Steve Hastings, Joe Noth, Bernie Smith. I'm going to pause right there. Bernie Smith was probably the nicest guy I ever came across, and because of him, I had a job for 25 years that I just recently retired from at Peckham. Jody Gable, Jocko Marder, Scott Blair, Dick Hicks, Bob Ogren, Andrew Phillips, Jimmy Osgood, Ian Pogue, John Flack, Bob Slack, Randy Williamson, Ralph Company, Jim Hillier Sr., Glenn Donnelly, Jack Spino, Corey Reed, Will Cagle, Howie Commander, Marty Beverwick, Harvey Fink, Bruno DiMatteo, Terry Rumsey, Patrick Donnelly, Mark Kenyon, and Andy Fusco. I want to give a special thanks and shout out to my HFR teammates, Chris Larson, Tommy Conroy, Brian Berkey Burkhart, George Mabey, Jarrett Ladd, Adam McCullough, Lauren Ward, Ansel Collins, Dick and Wendy Lubenstein, Kevin Ayers, Tom Belmont, and Mike Kissinger. Now for the fun part, the drivers I had a chance to work with. Randy Filipowski, 1 win. Jess Friesen, 2. They were fun. Keith Flack, 7 wins. Stuart Friesen, 123 in less than 5 years. That's unbelievable, man. Brett Hearn, 679 wins. In closing, I'd like to share with you my personal Hall of Fame. My dad, Jerry Sr., my mom, Marilyn, my sister, Michelle Gag, and her husband, Bob, my sister, Sue Ellen Hotelling, and her husband, Minard, my niece, Jamie Bailey, and my teammate for 31 years, Marilyn. I am so humbled and grateful to share this honor with all of you guys. Thank you.
Jay, you just read down a pretty powerful list, whether it were the people around you, the drivers that you worked with. Of course, we talked about Fonda Speedway being over our shoulder. You got away from what you were most used to for a little while and went to the promoter side, the dark side. Hertha will probably get a chuckle out of that. it wasn't your cup of tea, but you did it with your regular J. Castimore passion.
It was a great time in my life. I had met Marilyn. I was race director of Fonda, general manager in Orange County. How many people get a chance to go to their boyhood track and become general manager? It was as much about doing that. But so many good things happened because of being in Orange County. I mean, I met so many great people, got involved in racing. I met Bernie Smith, my work family. I got 10 people here from Peckham. That's incredible. That all happened because I was at Orange County. So, I've been blessed. But no, my favorite thing to do, it's not this. My favorite thing to do is with the tire grinder, getting them ready for Stuart and Jess to go racing, and giving Tommy as much help as I can give him, and watching the Victory Lane flags fall. Those are fun.
Well, and again, going back to you not needing the limelight, probably one of the, I told you my most memorable part was you watching the rest of the crew celebrate as Brett came down to Checkers at Syracuse. It was also last year at Oswego. You came right out when interviewed. It's not about me. You want to go talk to Tommy.
Well, y'all needed to do that because that's the guy that works his butt off. I mean, right there. I mean, not that Andrew hasn't. I've been around both of them, and they pour their heart and soul into what they do. And I know, Jess and Stu would say the same thing. They're so lucky to have Tommy. I mean, he's just a class act.
Well, he certainly is taking everything he's learned from you. I know I took out of both Andrew and Tommy talking about, and you mentioned the Peckham part, about going up and down the road and being ready to go to the next day while being a career full-timer and a pretty big position at Peckham Industries.
Well, I had a lot of understanding people. A lot of people backed me up. Most of them are right here. Number one, and I think I was allowed to do some of the things I was allowed to do because it's performance-based, and you got to make sure you carry your weight. And there were races I didn't go to because that's just what the day called for. But I'm so blessed. I work for some great people and with some great people, and it's the whole puzzle. You got to kind of put it all together. And I didn't ever worry about getting up or not getting a lot of sleep. I mean, we could sleep. When you're dead, you can sleep forever. So what the hell, man?
So they tell me.
Here you go. The dirt nap is forever, right? So.
Well, again, we want to congratulate you, Jay. Not a bigger honor could be bestowed on not a more person that deserves it. Well deserved. Congratulations. Welcome to the NYSSCA Hall of Fame. Jay will receive his plaque and Hall of Fame jacket and hat. Andrew Phillips and Tommy Conroy joining the photo. Well, our final inductee of the afternoon, when I just used the words done it all, he has done it all in motorsports. He's a man that a lot of the noise that he made in motorsports were right here in this local area when he started. Here in this part of the region and went on to be one of the strongest competitors across the dirt campaign. That will be our final inductee for the afternoon. Call John Stanley over here to the podium as we'll induct our final inductee, the Franklin Flyer, Billy Decker.
Thanks again, Dan. Dan mentioned the star power of the Hall of Fame. And as I reflect throughout today's program, certainly star power fits. Certainly longevity fits. I don't think, when you get in the Hall of Fame, I don't think there's such a thing as an overnight sensation in the Hall of Fame. Billy Decker fits both of those things. A very long racing career. It started back in 1981 at Penn Can Speedway in the Tiger class when he was just 16. And after a few successful years there, running late models at Penn Can and 5 Mile Point, in 1984, Billy made his modified debut with a 320 right down the road, as Dan mentioned, here at Fonda Speedway. He finished third in that debut. He won his first 320 modified feature at Fonda the following year. And then in 1986 began racing a big block as well, along with the 320. He experienced immediate success doing that, several top 5 finishes there, ended up in the top 10 in points in both the big block and small block divisions at Fonda. Didn't take long for Billy to pick up his first career big block victory. That came the following season, 87 at Fonda. And later that year, Billy moved to the high banks down at Lebanon Valley Speedway, once again experiencing immediate success, several top 5 finishes there. And the following year, 1988, Billy broke through quickly, winning his very first big block race on the high banks. That came in May. Overall, he picked up 3 wins that season, ended the year strong with wins in the final 2 events in September, including the Lebanon Valley 200, with a last lap pass of Richie Urich for the win. Billy continued as a regular at Lebanon Valley Speedway until 1997, winning 2 High Point Modified Championship titles in 93 and 95. And overall, back to Brian Bedell statistics here, Billy has won 34 big block modified features at the Valley, good for 7th on the all-time win list at the Speedway. Those wins included some of Lebanon's biggest races. Mentioned the Lebanon Valley 200. He won that 4 times. Also won the Mr. Dirt Track USA title. Did that a couple of times, plus the prestigious Lebanon Valley Race of Kings. In 1998, Billy made the move west, and it turned out to be one of the biggest moves of his career. In fact, 1998 was a career year for Billy Decker. He won 21 features at 10 different racetracks, and 8 of those were extra distance races. That kind of became a specialty. He won Super Dirt Week at the New York State Fairgrounds, the overall Super Dirt Series Championship, and the Eastern States 200 at Orange County, plus 3 track championships at Brewerton, Wheatsport, and Canandaigua all that same year. Billy continued to have great success over the coming years, but his winningest season came 10 years later in 2008. He won a career-high 25 features in 2008 at 12 different racetracks: Brewerton, Can-Am, Canandaigua, Rolling Wheels, Fulton, Ransomville, Brockville, Grandview, Utica Rome, Thunder Mountain, Cayuga County, and the New York State Fairgrounds. 12 of those wins were extra distance races, 7 of those over 100 laps. Again, that theme of being an extra distance specialist. On the Moody Mile, Billy was special when it came to racing out at Syracuse. He was always fast out there. For a number of years, it seemed like he was always starting up front every year. He set fast time at Super Dirt Week 7 times. One of those came at Oswego. And he started on the outside pole 4 times there at Syracuse. Billy's the only driver other than Toby Tobias to sit on the front row at Syracuse in the big race in October for 4 years in a row. Overall, he locked into the top 6 on speed from his time trial on 17 occasions out at Syracuse. Billy also holds the track record there, too. He recorded the fastest time ever on the Syracuse Fairgrounds in a modified. That came in 2004 when he set that track record, getting around the mile in just over 28 seconds for an average speed of 126.993 miles per hour. And of course, he turned all that speed into wins as well. He's a 4-time Big Block Super Dirt Week winner, a 7-time Small Block Modified Super Dirt Week winner. In fact, he's the only driver who's won the small block race 4 years in a row at the mile. Billy has had success no matter who he drove for. For the first 10 years of his career, it was the family operation, Billy and his dad Floyd, putting together 44 wins at 9 different tracks. Next 9 years, Billy drove for car owner Randy Ross. Together, they won 92 events. Then came John White. For 12 years, Billy drove for the Jitsam team and captured a total of 148 checkered flags overall. And there have been others, like Paine, Jeremy Smith, Randy Decker, Carl Myers. Overall, Billy has earned wins with 8 different car owners. So I try to give you an overview of Billy's Hall of Fame career. We all know it's been prestigious, no question about it. We've touched on some of Billy's career highlights here. He's had 40 years of racing success. That first win came down the road here at Fonda in 1985. His most recent win coming last year at Thunder Mountain. And over those last 40 years, only 2 years went by without Billy getting to victory lane. Overall, a total of 312 wins at 36 different tracks, 71 Super Dirt Car Series victories, and 3-time overall Mr. Dirt Super Dirt Series champion. 18 track point, high point titles at 6 different tracks. And as we mentioned, an extra distance specialist. Truly shine in those races. 75 victories in races of 100 laps or more. 15 200-lap race wins coming at 7 different tracks, including Fulton, Rolling Wheels, Albany, Saratoga, Orange County, Williams Grove, Lebanon Valley, and of course the New York State Fairgrounds. All of this success certainly points to one thing, and that's a Hall of Fame career. Please join me now as we welcome our newest member of the New York State Stock Car Association, the Franklin Flyer, Billy Decker.
Thank you, John. That was very good.
Appreciate it, Bill. You get to say a few words. Step right up to the microphone.
That's all right.
Come on over, Billy. As John said, started right over our shoulder at the Fonda Speedway as far as your open wheel career. We got to see you down in this end of the state as a regular. We get to see you come back every once in a while. My most recent, I know you were up the Malta with us a couple of weeks ago, but go back to last fall for the Malta Massive Weekend when you and the doctor ended up on the front row. We all thought we hit a time machine back to the mid-'80s, but it's been a hell of a ride.
You know, it certainly has. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the other inductees, particularly Margaret, Brian, and Jay. The rest of us guys, Rocky, Steve, and myself have been fortunate enough to get a few accolades along the way. These guys truly worked their tails off and had a lot of dedication to get here, so congratulations to everybody. Yeah, it's been a pretty remarkable career. I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by good people my entire career, and when you get to a position like this, I always reflect back the early days at home and how the career really started and the people you're surrounded with and how good I had it back then.
Well, we look at it a couple of years ago, Randy Ross was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and we talked to Randy and how big of a part of that part of his life being with you guys. And the success was one thing, but the times were another.
Well, they sure were, and it was funny because we were building a new business, and I'd won some big races prior to that, and it was a time in my career when I needed to make a decision, and Randy fit that bill, and there wasn't a better car owner than Randy, and we had a lot of fun. We built a program that was really competitive, and very fortunate to have not only some good times. Nobody put any more effort into being a car owner than Randy Ross, and we had great equipment, great people, and good things became of it. So it was a very special time.
Well, I know, and like I said, the success part of it, the statistics speak one volume. The other volume is you guys did it, had a hell of a lot of fun along the way, and Jay Castimore mentioned that you guys were on top of the game.
Well, you had to be. It was guys like Jay in that program that forced you to be. When we cut our teeth, I like to think we cut our teeth at a very hard time to get wins back in that day, and there's guys doing it today, you know what I mean? When I raced, you had to be guys like Jumpin' Jack and Barefoot Bob and Brett and Kenny. Life wasn't easy, and nowadays, it's no different today. You got to be guys like Friesen and Shepard and stuff. So there's a tuition to be paid in everything, and no different here in racing race cars. So it's there's an old saying with all perseverance and panther piss, you can do something I can't really say here, but it's no different in racing. The wins don't come easy. Everything is earned, and there is a tuition, and you need to stay with it. And this room is full of people that have dedicated a lot of time and effort to motorsports, and I'm very humbled and appreciative to be here.
You just mentioned one name. We'll go back to the early part of your career, Jumpin' Jack. Floyd Decker and his kid Billy and your brother decided to go racing, modified style. You reached out to a guy that knew a little something about a lot of something, and he was a big part of your career. I know you often talk about that, about going back to the beginning of your career, and that's one thing that you learned from the best.
Well, again, I was fortunate. I like to think I was smart enough to get myself in a position like that, but I wasn't. It was just all by chance. That happens a lot. And it's a funny story. My father-in-law drove, and Dad and Jack became friends. And, to add a little story to it, he was down deer hunting, and my brother took him out and said, Jack, you sit right here, and when it gets daylight, there's going to be a deer right in front of you, and you whack a buck. And he walked away, and I was on the other side of the hill with Joe DeSarbo, and my brother heard a door slam, and he went back, and he says, we looked in the truck, and it was Jack. He says, Jack, what are you doing? He says, well, it's dark out, and if that deer is not going to be there till 7, neither am I. So, but was very fortunate that became friends with Jack, because I was getting ready to graduate school and had no intention of racing. I was going to go to Floyd Decker School of Hard Work. And boy, did he bail me out. So very fortunate. And, I got to hang around at Jumpin' Jack's house and was friends with everybody. And it was a really fortunate time for Billy Decker and my group of people, because we learned a lot and had a really great time. And it was big, You take that stuff home, and I remember the nights working in our shop, very similar to Jumpin' Jacks. And the atmosphere was right, and I had it good, Always ate good and tried to live at home forever. It just didn't work out. But it really gave me an opportunity to develop as a racer and be surrounded with the right people. So I was very fortunate through my entire career.
The family operation ended up going, Roger Haru, driving for Randy Ross, going on to John White, now Jeremy Smith. You really have aligned yourself with some great situations and capitalized on each and every one of them.
Well, that's the idea. You want to surround yourself with good people. That happens that way. I was very fortunate when we had Randy run out of money, had to go do something else. So John White happened to be available, and had a lot of success there. Drove for Mike Paine, and all the time I was always friends with Jeremy Smith, and it just happened to work out that he was getting back into racing. So that's where I am now, and they're great people, and I got great equipment. It's hard to retire when you're surrounded by such good stuff. So I got to figure out how to navigate this deal here.
You're lucky to have them. We're equally as lucky to have you still in the sport. And congratulations on what has been a spectacular career. Looking forward, we can only wish you the best from here, but you're going to now be considered a member of the New York State Stock Car Hall of Fame.
Thank you. I'm humbled and honored to be in this, and I appreciate everybody in this room, for everything they've done in motorsports and everybody that's helped us along the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next inductee for the New York State Stock Car Association Hall of Fame, the Franklin Flyer, Billy Decker. Billy will get the NYSSCA Hall of Fame plaque, jacket, and cap. And that is going to put a wrap on our festivities here for this afternoon. And again, on behalf of everyone involved with the New York State Stock Car Association and the NYSSCA Hall of Fame, the committee, and all of those involved, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out here today. A great turnout. Very happy to see everybody here and their interest. We thank you for being here. We'll look forward to seeing you once again here in the next season. A great 2025 season coming up. Wish all the racers a good luck. And once again, congratulations to all of our inductees this afternoon. On behalf of everybody involved here with the New York State Stock Car Association, thanks for stopping by.